Good evening and welcome to the Coach's Corner. My name's Kevin Papa. With me, as always, to my right is the coach, Ian Bain. Let's get right at it, Coach. Not the result or the game we kind of wanted to see Friday night.
No, not an outcome or performance. We really didn't play great, didn't coach great. I think we competed as hard as we could. I don't think there was any question in our effort and what we tried to do, but it just wasn't our night with some of the execution. Two of our first three drives went inside their 10, but with 0 points. And uncharacteristically, we've been pretty good with the football, but 4 turnovers and no takeaways, and so not our best performance.
Is that a bury the ball kind of game? Bury the tape, move on to the next thing, or do you watch that and pull something good off
No,
it?
see, and I used to believe in bury the ball or bury the film and move on, especially, probably that first Stoughton game was a bury the ball kind of game. But what I told the kids afterwards was to let's not waste the loss. We got to go through it, and it stinks, and nobody was happy with the outcome of the game, just because maybe we wouldn't have won the game, but I thought we could have performed better. But we need to learn from it. We need to learn what we need to do to reach the next level. Walking off that field, seeing an opponent like that, and does that make us recommit to the weight room a little bit better? Does it make us focus on the summer? Less trips to Cape Cod, less trips to Martha's Vineyard, less trips to Maine, etc. What do we need to do to get better? And I think if we bury the film or bury the ball and don't go back to it, then maybe we kind of miss some of those lessons that we can learn. So, probably old me would have leaned toward a bury the ball, bury the tape, but I think where I'm at now in life and where our team's at now is we need to learn from every mistake, even as disappointing as it was.
Mainly most of their drives were just short 4-yard gains going off tackle or up the middle. Is there a feeling of helplessness or of just pure frustration that you just can't stop it?
It's very frustrating, from a football intellectual standpoint. That's not something that's exciting to lose to.
No, not at all. It's not exciting to watch.
And you think about, well, what adjustments can you make? And I know that's an easy phrase to say, but it kind of comes down to basic math. When you're in some of the formations that they're in, they're basically creating 10 gaps for 11 players. So however you want to adjust, 10 gaps is really tough to defend without any pre-snap motions or movements. So, but there are techniques that we could have used better. And some things we could have done better. I think our defense put up a very good fight, and I think that we were in the thick of it. We didn't shy away from the physicality of the game, but it is what they were doing. Certainly doesn't give you a lot of options except to play better and out technique a little better. And they're also really good.
No, they're very good. They're number one for a reason. What positives did you take away from the game?
I think just that I did think we competed very hard. I think we had some good looks. We had some guys that made some really good plays. I don't think we backed down. I think it'd be easy and maybe, if that was our first time in the tournament to sort of feel overwhelmed. I know it might have looked that way and certainly, but I never got that feeling like, we didn't, that sense that we belonged. I think, again, if we execute better, it might not mean a win, but I think the game could have been closer than it ended up being, final score-wise.
When you think about it, can a public school compete year to year against the schools that can recruit from all over the state?
We're going to find out.
We're going to try. They're not going to change.
It's not going to change, and it's easy to point that finger, and I certainly did too. There's clearly a competitive disadvantage with some of the things that they can do that we cannot. I can't pick up the phone and call Paul Perry and get a kid enrolled tomorrow. And I can't speak to what all of the private schools do. They all function differently, and that is what it is. But at the end of the day, that's what we need to be to win a championship, is we need to beat those teams. We need to be at that level. I think for us to say it's impossible is silly. it's in year 4. I think every year has marched in an upward trajectory, even just little by little. And from last year we competed with Xaverian, and a year ago CM was about the same level as Xaverian. They beat Xaverian the week after we played them, but and again, if we were able to get some points early in that game, maybe we're sitting here saying, it's 35-28 final score. Man, we're not that far off. So that's why I don't think we're that far off. I think if we stay committed and even double down some of our efforts, I think we can catch anybody. But it's just going to take a great effort and and a great commitment to developing our talent, and hopefully getting more young kids involved in the game in the 7th and 8th grade levels with youth football, and bringing them up through our freshman program. But I mean, for us, it's all about how we develop talent. And there's nobody on our team, not that we didn't have good players, but there's nobody on our team that we went out and sought out because they were a great player. Like, we got the kids that we got, and we said, we're going to develop you into a championship caliber team in an image that we have, and try to maximize each kid's potential. And I feel like we damn near achieved that. So, it's always going to be tough, but at the same time, we have advantages that they don't have too, that I think we can capitalize on, and we just need to do a better job in all facets of our program.
So you end up with a trophy for the game. You get it's not the trophy you wanted, but it's the first trophy you get to put into the trophy case in 37 years, I believe. Yeah. Is that something you look at now with pride, or is that something that'll happen after the season when you're looking back at things?
No, I won't look back at it after the season at all. I mean, it's, I guess, easy to sort of stick your nose up to that trophy or say it's not something special. But I mean, if it wasn't that special, we'd have more of them. And the fact is, how many teams, even in the Hockomock League right now, can say that they've had one? A handful,
right.
But not all. They're rare. There's only a handful of teams every year that get one, and I think it's great. I think it's great for our kids. It's something that they can enjoy and they can come back and view once they've graduated. But for the kids that are coming back, we really can't focus on it at all beyond once the banquet ends, we're on to 2020. And same for the coaching staff, but it's something that this whole team, freshman through senior, will always be a part of, and the trophy's not going anywhere. It's always going to be in the case, so we'll always have a chance to come back and take a peek at it. But I think it's good, and I know it's sort of everybody gets a trophy mentality is sort of a negative thing these days, but like.
Yeah,
that trophy was earned.
That's a trophy that's earned. That's not a trophy for participating.
Yeah, and a lot of kids made a year-long commitment to our program, and I mean kids that played multiple sports. They made a year-long commitment to our football program. Like, yeah, they were playing lacrosse, but as soon as lacrosse was over, they were back, or they were playing baseball. But if it was wintertime, and they were lifting, and they were making morning runs, and they were making 7-on-7 tournaments in the summer. They were working together, getting together on their own. All summer long, working on different things that they knew they needed to do. So I think it's great.
So you gave the kids a couple days off. Did you take a break from football?
Kind of, sort of. Sometimes the hardest part of being a high school football coach, and it's any high school football coach, including our coordinators and position coaches, is we all work full-time regular jobs. We're not getting paid to it'd be nice to be able to watch the film during the workday and make recruiting calls during the workday and answer emails during the workday. So it might not have been the normal routine, but I think it gave our staff a chance to sort of look at some different things on tape and catch up on a couple developmental things that we need to get to a couple recruiting phone calls. And for us, we had our league coaches meeting last night. We picked the all-stars, so getting that prepared, kind of getting the week's message ready, and kind of our practice plans ready. So I guess it wasn't football specific on very usually the first day after a game is so detail oriented toward the next opponent. It was more just catching up on things that maybe were on the back burner a little bit from more of an administrative standpoint, I guess, with the program.
So the team is 7-3 now. 2 of the 3 losses are to Super Bowl teams, and teams that I think that are eventually going to win the Super Bowl. The other one's to your longtime rival. What does that say of the growth of the program from year 1 to year 4 so far?
It's great. I mean, we play a high-level competition, and that shows on our record. And and even when you look at a team like Attleboro, I mean, their final record was what it was, but they were a playoff team. There's so much talent on that team. Like, that's not an easy win. Andover beat Everett last weekend. Milford they had a rash of injuries. Their two quarterbacks are out. But, I mean, prior to those injuries, Milford was, 4-1, beat North Attleboro, was sort of in the driver's seat, and then they had, those injuries that you can't control. So I think we had a lot of great wins, and the biggest thing is we're competing. I think the first year was what it was. We were blown out of some games. We won 2 games. We kind of coulda, woulda, shoulda maybe beat Needham. That was a game we coulda won, coulda beat OA. So, but really that first year we were competitive in only 4 games. And as a program, I think we won 7 games on all 3 levels combined, including going over from the JV. And then the second year, it was 3-8. Not a great record, but you look at the competitive level, and I think every game but one, we were within a score at the half. And lost to KP on the last second field goal, lost to Mansfield by 1. And every game, like I said, it was competitive, and maybe we wore down, maybe we weren't ready, but every game was a game, and even to a point that I think sometimes we didn't get as many kids in as maybe we did the first year because we were blown out a couple of those times, and we really didn't get blown out that second year. And then last year and this year, our only losses are Mansfield, KP, Xaverian, and CM. So, and of course we want to set the expectation that we want to beat those teams. But our thing is always, it doesn't matter. I know it matters to some people, and that's fine. But any opponent we want to beat. So it doesn't matter if we lose to KP or Mansfield or OA or Taunton or Attleboro. Like, a loss is still a loss, and a win is still a win. So as long as we're competing at a high level, we're giving ourselves the best chances to win, we're doing it the right way, I think is where we want to be. But I think the product, it speaks for itself. Like I said, first year, 7 wins as a program. The second year, I think it was 8 wins as a program. And then back-to-back years, our program has won 24 games. I think we're at 24 right now. Last year was 24. So hopefully we can add to that in the next week or so.
All right, so we're on to Thanksgiving. It's the 58th meeting of King Philip and Franklin. KP has won 9 straight overall. Franklin 31, 26-1. Franklin last won in 2009. When you take the fact that although it's not a Super Bowl game, you take the fact of the KP streaks that are involved, it's almost like having another big game.
Oh, it certainly is. But again, we've always tried to keep all our games like that. You get 1 game a week, you get 11 a year, and for some kids, this might be their first start, it might be their last start, and you never know week to week. So we always just try to focus on that process and not the result. But, we did talk about that after our game against CM. When you look back at the 4 years for these seniors, the first year we played KP twice and Xaverian, so 3 games against a Super Bowl team.
Right.
The second year we're playing KP again, another Super Bowl team. The third year, KP went back to it, plus, Xaverian. So, we've played enough of these type of games that I think, that's not going to make us gun shy at all. We just got to go out and compete and execute. And, the streak or whatever, like 2009 was my first year out of college. Like, I didn't have nothing to do with any streaks or anything like that. Whatever the record is, like, I've been a part of 6 of them, 7 of them. And this team has been a part of 7 of them, and that's just all we're focusing on is the next one. It's not even the last 7. This team has played their team once early in the year, and since then we've had injuries, they've had injuries. So it's going to be the first matchup between these 2 teams on a Thursday morning, and that's just kind of what it is. And the newspaper and the media and everybody can hype up records and streaks and this and that, but like for us, we just got to go compete and wake up ready to play Thursday.
You worry about any letdown factor?
No, I no more than I normally do. We're talking about high school kids that anything could factor into their day. What we just need to do is try to get them mentally and physically prepared to play the game. And, all we can do is give them the tools and put them in position to win the game. And KP will come out with some things that we haven't seen, I'm sure. And we'll have to be ready to adjust and coach our asses off on Thursday. But, I don't worry about letdown with this group. The day, Jack Martinelli used to say, the kids will always tell you how good of a job you're doing and nobody else. And, if I was worried about letdowns and will we have a letdown, then I probably wouldn't be doing a good job as a coach. Not to say we're going to play great and win, not to say we're going to play bad and lose, just I don't worry about how our effort's going to be. I don't worry about how our preparation's going to be. I don't worry that we're going to have kids there on time the day of a game. And you know, that's probably the most important thing. Once the game kicks off, it all takes care of itself.
Football game. It's always an emotional game afterwards.
Yeah.
With the parents and the kids, the seniors, you know, their last game. What's it like for you as the coach, having coached these kids for 4 years?
Yeah, I'll probably get emotional too. You know, they mean a lot to me. They mean a lot to our staff. We spend a lot of time together. We've been through a lot together, and you can never replicate this. You know, you can come back and play pickup basketball in the gym, throw on the old, you know, Jordans and your old jersey, and you can kind of simulate that. You know, you can go play baseball, and I'm sure Coach Brown can get the boys together up on the diamond and spin it around a little bit. But you know, there's no alumni football games for 35-year-old overweight coaches and people that, you know, want to go out and clack pads a little bit. So, you know, this is it for a lot of guys. And we'll have guys that go on and play in college, but not many, you know, and that's just statistics. It's just not a big number that go on. And then of the kids that go on, how many will play for 4 full seasons, you know, and not have an injury, or academics take them a different route, or maybe they just don't like it, and that happens too. So you know, and just overall this team, I mean, I'm real confident with kids that we have coming up. You know, we always try to kind of keep a big picture in mind and sort of project out 5 years, kind of where we're going as an organization. But you know, next year we'll be returning so many talented kids, but they're never going to get to play with a Jack Nally or Gasparo or Leofonte or many of these great players that we have. So it's important to just kind of enjoy the moment. And, you know, it's always tough at first. But, you know, I think that's because our kids care and they put so much of their own time and effort into it.
Growing up, did you play on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so my freshman year I lived in Michigan. And the state championships, at least then, were played the day after Thanksgiving. The Lions play on Thanksgiving. And they had, you know, a full playoff. And so that's when the state title game was played in, back then, the Silver Dome, which is no more. And now I moved to Connecticut as a sophomore. So I got to play 3 games on Thanksgiving. And it's a cool experience. You know, it's I didn't grow up around it, but I did get to partake. And it is cool just because, like, I don't know, I guess my kind of memory of it is you'd see kids and you know, adult men that maybe you knew around town, maybe you see them at the gym or the grocery store, and they might not come to a game all year, but they'd come to that game, and it was just always kind of cool. And you see families, like with, you know, where we played, we didn't have big bleachers, but we had a big hillside, so you know, people would sit up on the hill and watch the game, and we drew a pretty good crowd our last game. You know, we weren't always very good, but it was cool. It was a cool experience, and something you can't, I don't know, you obviously play, we've played 10 other ones, we've probably played more meaningful games, bigger games, but, and the same for KP. I mean, they've been to Gillette 3 straight years. They're probably like, well, I mean, but when you get out there and it's kind of that kind of cool November morning, it's just different. It's something.
The stands are packed, and like you said, you got everybody coming back, all the alumni. It's a good time. It's a good take.
It's cool, and every year I feel like we get more and more alumni on our sideline, which is really fun to see. You know, Brian Kosicki or Sean Leonard come back, and you turn around and there's Adam White staring at you with a overly golded up watch on his wrist. So, you know, but it's awesome. I love seeing those guys. You know, obviously we gotta get focused on the game after that, but it's cool to see kind of like our guys now coming back. Like,
Sure.
And that's not a slight or disrespect to any other former Panthers. Obviously everybody's welcome back, but it's cool. You know, the first year we didn't have guys. You know, the second year we had a handful of guys, and the third year we had a handful of guys. But now we got like a squad that comes and they got their jackets on, and they're just kind of hooting and hollering behind the boys. It's special to have that environment.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving from the coach, myself, Kevin Papa. Shout out to Kimball Sam for the good gear. Go Cowboys on Sunday. See you, Coach.